Hey, what's up, guys? Seeker here, Cyber Combat Realm, here for another video. Today, we're going to be talking about a very controversial topic, I guess. It's more like a rant, if I may say so. Basically, we're going to be talking about, there's some beautiful ladies, by the way. We're going to be talking about the fakeness and hypocrisy that seems to be stemming from the Mortal Kombat community. And, you know, what I don't really like about it, first of all, let's address some issues. Sometimes, or rather, you guys don't really like, or I've been getting a lot of comments where people keep complaining about me saying all the time. Look, I don't like making scripts. I just like going with the flow. I will try not to say all the time, but you know, I'm not trying to be rude, but at the same time, you know, you got to deal with it. Now back to the topic. There's been some people in the Mortal Kombat community, especially YouTubers, that have been kind of grinding my gear a little bit. You know, getting me a little annoyed with their pompous bullshit, if I may. Because they think that because they speak properly, or because they think that they're pros, or because they know a certain mechanic that I may not know or another YouTuber may not know, and I'll get to that in a second, that basically they can't have an opinion being a customer first and foremost of the game. I'm basically here to defend the little guy, or rather the people that don't like this game. I'm also here to defend, or in defense maybe, some talking points made by a YouTuber named Fate. Fight all thy enemies, also known as Infinite Retro. And I wasn't asked to do this or anything of the matter, so don't try to come up with bullshit. No one made me do this. I've just been observing how a lot of people, and even in my comment section, because I made a recent video, I don't know how recent, I don't remember, about True Underdog and his whole ordeal about how Ermac isn't being sold to us because he's not in the game per se, which he is in the game. And I already dealt with that promptly and made the point that Ermac is in the game. It doesn't matter what movesets he has, that you're still paying for a character that's already in the game. The model's in the game. And it's not just the moves that make the character, it's also the character model, and mainly the character's model. It's what makes the game, because if you don't have that, essentially, you'll just have an invisible nothing punching around with hitboxes. I've been watching the whole ordeal that Fate's been going through, where a whole bunch of YouTubers, for example, the likes of Mike Hollow, Foxy Grandpa, Sikander, just to name a few. And there's this hypocrisy that comes from these people, that they try to justify with nonsense like, oh yeah, I speak properly, I don't like the way that you say things, or along the lines of, oh, you're just talking negative, you're rage baiting, and all that other nonsense. Especially, you know, double to triple teaming a person. So, for example, uh, Mike Hollow made a point, or keeps making the point, before him and Fate made up, I guess. Uh, Personally, I don't think it's genuine. That's just my opinion. Uh, and again, before you say something stupid in my comment section, no one sent me to do this. I'm the one that wanted to make this. So I'll just say that one last time. No one sent me. I'm doing this because I want to. Now, if you decide to make up some bullshit narrative out of that someone sent me or paid me or anything like that, that's on you. And I don't have to justify shit to anyone. So that's a you problem. So let's start with the Mike Hollow situation. In some of his videos that he's done about Fate or has talked about Fate, he always says this thing that bugs me, which is, I think or I believe that he doesn't really care about the game. I'm just saying that in my words. Essentially, that basically Fate doesn't really care about the game being better, in other words. And I think that's a whole lot of bullshit because every time I watch Fate, and I've been watching Fate for maybe 2 3 months, maybe somewhere around there, maybe more. No, probably like 2 or 3 months. Excuse me, don't quote me on that. And every time I see Fate talking in his videos, uh, you know, he's passionate. So he always makes a point about what he doesn't like, but he will also tell you what can make the game better or how the game should be better. So how can you, a person who claims and brags that you're so intelligent and so proper and honest and that you have notes, how can you sit there, make videos, and say that you believe or you think that Fate does not have the best interest in this game because he's complaining about the issues, not just about the game, but NetherRealm Studios and WB and their behavior. So again, he's complaining about the issues with the game, the mechanics, or whatever. Let's just put everything, the entire game. Then he talks about NetherRealm and he talks about WB and he talks about the shells. Excuse me, I didn't pronounce it correctly because I'm bilingual. So the shells, which are basically sellouts. They either get paid, get some promotion, have an NDA, or get flown to places by NetherRealm Studios, so they're always there to suck up to NetherRealm and WB. And they will swear to God that the game is amazing, and then they will make stupid ass comments about how the game is shit in their little live streams because, NetherRealm or WB is not going to spend an entire 2 or 4 hours, maybe 10 hours watching a stream to see what their little minions have to say about the game. So, but you'll never see them post it on their Twitters, at least from what I've seen so far. You'll never see them post it in a video. So I fail to understand how someone can sit there again and say I believe or I think that basically Fate is rage baiting and essentially doesn't care to make the game better or whatever. Well, first of all, you don't have to like something. You're not obligated after saying that you don't like something, you're not obligated to say what would make the game better. That's just something we can make up as an opinion on what we liked about certain mechanics in the video games. And then we talk about that. Another issue I have with Mike is his hypocrisy. Sorry that I'm stuttering. I can't talk today, apparently. It's his hypocrisy. Because if we're going to call Faye out on shit, right? Oh, he's this, he's that. I don't like him because of this, that, and the fourth. His behavior, he calls people names. How are we going to complain and shit on someone for their behavior, especially when they're not even there? Because Mike makes the point that the reason he doesn't call out everybody else is because he doesn't want to talk about them behind their back because that's disrespectful. And he doesn't want to mention them. He prefers that they're in the video so that he can discuss it with them. So you'll make a video and say that you disagree with what Foxy said about needing to know certain mechanics to have an opinion, which I agree. You don't need to have you don't need to have know-how on game mechanics or etc. to make an opinion about the game being shit or whether you like it or you don't. And I know about most of the mechanics, and a lot of it is ass. But I agree. You don't need the know-how about the game's mechanic. You don't need a PhD in game mechanics to have an opinion on the game. I made a video about that already. But how can you call yourself, in other words, a person with integrity and honor, essentially, that you write notes down, that you call people on their bullshit, but yet you don't have the balls to call your own buddies out when they have shitty behavior? Foxy Grandpa, for example, Sikander. And you can come up with the bullshit that, oh, Fate should have known that Sikander always does that because Sikander, wants to show off for the public, essentially. At least that's how it seems. I mean, that I'm pretty sure that's all bullshit act anyways. But he probably will never admit that. So we're going to call Fate out, but we're not going to call out Foxy Grandpa or Sikander for their shitty behavior. But somehow you're supposed to be the pillar of justice and honor and all this other bullshit about I speak perfectly or, I use notes and etc. I speak properly. Like that's horseshit. You can it's how do you call it? Verbal diarrhea? Something like that. All that matters is that it's bullshit. It's not sincere. Because, for example, Fate and I are friends. Yes. He and I are friends. But, when I don't agree with something, I call it out for what it is. For example, and this is not to shit on Fate because it's just a matter of experience. For example, Fate is not very good at debating people, which is fine, but there's a variable there. There's a, how do you say? I'll just use variable that people don't take into account. One, there's a flaw and an issue with the way that the debates go on. For example, I've been debating people online. I won't tell you where, won't tell you what usernames, but I've been debating people for about 3 to 4 years. And when you go into debating people, especially over opinions, you always need a third person to moderate. Because if you don't, then what happens is the person that tries to be very dishonest always tries to take more time than the person that's actually trying to defend themselves instead of it being equal. So you do need a moderator. You need a moderator, a third person to moderate the debate so both people can have their moment and their time to speak why they don't like this, why they disagree, and etc. And allow each person to have their time. And when one person acts out, or both people are acting out, the moderator shuts it down and tells them to be quiet and stop arguing so that people that are watching can hear. So debating 1v1 without a third person is never a good idea. And I told Fate that too. Again, he's my friend, but I have things that I disagree with him and things that I will say. And it's not out of disrespect or malice that I don't agree with, or, that he should have done better. But, it's a different situation when you can type something down because you have time to think than a live situation where you're made to think on the spot and not everyone can reply, instantly. And sometimes when people try to do that, they do mess up, People aren't perfect. So I have told Fate, if he's ever going to get into another debate, to make sure there's always a third neutral party involved so he doesn't get triple team or double team like he did on Sikander's stream. So there's already the two things I don't like about Mike, that I think he's a hypocritical, and I think that his whole spiel about proper speaking, or the fact that he thinks and believes that Fate does not have a genuine criticism, or rather, he thinks he's rage baiting, or what's another word to put it? That he basically doesn't have MK1's interest at heart, essentially. Which is bullshit. Both things that, all three things that I just mentioned are bullshit. You can clearly see it in Fate's videos that he does try to give examples of how to fix the game, and even when he criticizes the game, there's hints of him basically showing you and telling you that he genuinely cares about this game and wants it to be better. But it's a shit game. Currently, it's a shit game. And I don't think that NetherRealm can save it unless they kiss our ass really hard, like No Man's Sky did. And again, these are just observations. I've watched videos. I've seen the lives. So you can't come up with bullshit and tell me that I'm lying. I know what I saw. And it's crazy to me because Mike says, he believes or he thinks. And it's funny because I can watch Fate's videos and I don't need a mystical dictionary to tell me what words mean, because I understand that we live in this social justice warrior society where people get triggered and hurt by words, and they're always trying to find meanings to words that already have a meaning. So they're always trying to run around the bush and come up with meanings that the words don't really have. So basically, if you say words that they don't like, it's essentially a dagger behind it. So it's always hateful or you're gonna magically Minecraft someone because you said a certain word that they didn't like, and all that comes from brainwashing from this current society that we currently live in, where most people are soft and weak and always have to find an excuse to make someone else the villain of their story. Pretty much, pretty much, which is what they're doing with Fate. You don't have to like the way the guy speaks. You know what I mean? If it bothers you so much, don't watch your videos and just go to your little safe space and stay there. Because trying to act and behave like you're morally superior because you take notes or you speak properly or you don't like the fact that he calls people names, you know, that's just stupid to me. And, you know, people got to grow up. And that's another thing, too, the name calling thing. It's like, because Mike will say that, you know, why does Fate do the name calling thing? Which is, you know, I give people nicknames, especially people I don't like or I think are, you know, kind of jerks, to say it in polite words. And for example, like Sonic Fox, I call him Sonic Sucks, or Captain Poopy Pants, you know, because he poops his pants when he's in his furry costume, you know, wearing his little diapers, which is disgusting, by the way. At least, you know, from what I've heard. Or Sikander, who I call Askander, because he basically got destroyed. He was talking a lot of shit on Tekken 8 and just to get destroyed and then make the excuse that that it don't mean anything or whatever his excuses were. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you know. So how are you going to complain, right? And you're going to say, you know, that's wrong. But then, because someone disrespected you, for example, because you're sitting here and trying to act like you're in this high moral position, right? And I could be wrong, but that's how it comes off us, you know? And then you go and attack Booty Hunter's video, TW Booty Hunter, and because he disrespected you, now you're gonna take your own advice, throw it to the garbage, and then start insulting the guy in the whole video. And I don't really care, you know. People can handle themselves. But it's the hypocrisy of it. Because all it comes down to is do as I say, not as I do. The rules are for you, but they're not for me. And I don't like that very much. I don't like hypocrisy. I don't like when someone tries to act like they're some kind of moral high ground because, you know, I speak properly. Or etc. And then they go and do the same goddamn thing because someone hurt their feelings or whatever. So yeah, then comes the whole issue with Foxy Grandpa. So again, I'll say this one last thing about Mike. Again, hypocrisy. How are you going to call Fate for his behavior, but you have every excuse in the book to not call out Foxy or Sikander at all? At all. So, like, where's the consistency, man? Like, really? Where's the consistency? Because all that is social justice behavior. The little SJW, blue-haired little kid soy boys that always try to pretend like they're always at a moral high ground because they like to play at the heartstrings. And they think that because they play at the heartstrings, that they're more moral than everybody else, I'm guessing, is the best way to put it. It doesn't work like that. That's why social justice warriors, or SJWs, the woke crowd, always end up losing in arguments. Because they don't face things with facts. They don't. It's always some kind of like manipulative tactic. For example, when I made the video about Ermac, some people got triggered about that. And essentially, someone kept trying to push the point of show them the evidence that Ermac was supposed to be in the roster, in the main roster, and he's now DLC. And they kept asking that. They wanted proof. And I couldn't find it because I don't remember the video. But that's manipulation. That's deflecting. You know why? Because that wasn't the point of my video. I'm giving you the main point of my video, and you're trying to deflect by trying to push a narrative, or you're trying to push for me to give you evidence about something that doesn't really matter or I was really discussing. Like, yes, I mentioned that Ermac was supposed to be a main roster character. The evidence is there. I don't need to put out a video showing you here, Ed Boon said this, which I'm pretty sure I saw a video of Ed Boon explaining that. But the evidence is there. He's in the story. You fight him. He's a cameo also. You know what I mean? And then you're going to tell me that it's justifiable and it's a different character because he has different moves. What? Like, you guys can't even be consistent. How are you going to keep pushing? Prove to me that he's supposed to be a main character, a main roster character, while ignoring and not debating the main point that I made. That it's still Ermac. It's the same model, just with different moves, but it's still you being sold a character that's already in the game. His moves don't have to be the game. He can get new moves for all I fucking care. But it's still Ermac who's in the game. If he wasn't in the game in the story mode at all, if he was just a side character, fine, sure. I mean, it's still shitty if he's in the story mode as a side character that you don't get to fight or anything, and you're still trying to sell him. It's still a shitty tactic. But it's much more, but it's worse, or just the same, I guess. If he's in the game, you fight him, and you're trying to sell him to me. Now, back to the topic. The point of that was to essentially demonstrate that when you debate these people, they always want to lean into something and say that they won the argument because they don't want to fight the main point. They want to go sidestep and deflect into something else that doesn't really matter in the whole conversation. The topic of my video was that it's still the same character that's being sold to you that's already in the game. Point blank. And apparently I triggered some people. I don't care. That's a you problem that you can't control yourself or you get triggered. See, now my issue with Foxy Grandpa is the same social justice behavior that I was complaining about earlier, or just now. Is that when you try to debate these idiots, the best that they got are insults, mocking, and etc. simply because you don't know a certain mechanic. Who the fuck cares about the certain mechanic? Sure, in a sense, it would help to know what the mechanics in the game are, in some sense, but it's not really that important. It doesn't necessarily say that your opinions are invalid, because I may not know for example, because I didn't know I know that the characters can do some wake up moves, but it's mostly on the cameo for the most part. Some characters can do both, but it's well perfected for the cameo. And I didn't know that. And I still think it's a shitty mechanic. And I can still say that the game was shit. I didn't have to know that to tell you that the game was shit. That I don't like the fighting because the fighting doesn't take much skill. But back to my point. The fact that you have to tell someone that they need to know a specific mechanic or they shouldn't have an opinion baffles me. Because you don't need to. There's other ways to learn. It's like someone said, oh, if you don't play the game, you shouldn't have an opinion. But see, there's a problem with that because you don't have to play a game either to give an opinion on the game. I can look at a game, for example, Baldur's Gate 3. Won Game of the Year, I believe. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And it's a great game, but I don't like it. Why? Because I don't like turn-based games. I don't. I hate it with a passion. It's still a good game. I just don't like it because of that. So are you going to get in my comment section and get triggered and tell me I shouldn't have an opinion on the game because... Why? Because I don't like this stupid mechanic? Because I haven't played it? That's what I meant to say. I haven't played it. I don't need to play the game to know that it's not my type of game. To say that it's not my type of game. And I can tell you why it's not my type of game. I just gave you the number one reason why I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3. Because I don't like turn-based games. I don't. I hate them with a passion. Because I want to be the character and I want to be in control of the character. I don't need the game to hold my hand and do moves for me. I want to do the moves. I want to fight. I want to say that I had the skill to kill this character or defeat this character. But again, it's mostly about the shitty, hypocritical fucking behavior. Is a shitty fucking behavior to mock someone, disrespect them, insult them, and etc. simply for not knowing a game mechanic. And tell them that they should have no opinion because they don't know what op block is. Or because they don't use op block. I know, for example, people would argue with me and say that I'm basically screwing myself over because I don't want to use the cameos. I use the cameos, just not as much as I should, because I do not like how the cameo system has been implemented. So I can't play my way, because apparently I can't complain because I basically handicap myself. Even though I can literally beat you without needing the cameo at all. So that should tell you a lot. That if I can beat you without a cameo, which is basically handicapping me, but you're telling me, but you know, because I do that, I'm not allowed to give an opinion on the game and say it's shit because I don't use a tool that clearly is broken and sucks. So because I don't use that crappy ass tool, somehow I shouldn't complain about the game. And on another note, see, Fate is like me. I don't like making a script. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe I just don't like it because it doesn't feel genuine. But at least not to me. You know, I want to show my mess ups. I want to show, you know, when I do good and stuff. Because I don't like showing a side of me that doesn't exist. I'm an imperfect human being. So I want you to know that when you watch my videos. So I'm gonna make mistakes even when I speak. Sometimes I'll probably have said things uh, that I messed up saying, and I could probably elaborate if you asked me what I meant by something, because it's like I tell Fate. When Fate was getting into these debates, I always gave him one advice, or several actually. It was always, when they say something, ask them what they mean by that. Because a lot of times these people don't know what they think. They always just want to repeat what they hear. And that's how you also get a person, because when you make them explain something, it exposes them. And I'm not saying, for example, uh, when you can't come up with something, right on top of your head, so you're stuck there trying to uh, think, because it's alive. So, you can't spend your whole time you can't spend 10 minutes of a person's life trying to think about what you want to say. So, there's another problem with being live with people as well. And yeah, you should prepare yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And in that aspect, I agree. Be better prepared. Um, but my issue is mainly with the hypocrisy. Yes, do I think that Fake could have been better prepared for a lot of these stuff? Yeah, yeah. Could I be better prepared for my videos? I could, sure, yeah. But it all comes down to experience. And some people, they want to go off with their passion, and that's fine. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you any less better in the sense of superiority over somebody else because you speak properly, and they just, you know, they're old school about things. Because ultimately, it's just we all love Mortal Kombat, or I assume we all love Mortal Kombat, and we all have our opinions of the game. At the end of the day, most of these are just our opinions, and trying to pretend, because a lot of these guys like to pretend that their opinions are facts and that their words are law and that they're gods, and you can't argue against them because they're pros or they speak proper or they keep notes. It's just horseshit. So ultimately, you can give Foxy Grandpa the excuse that, oh, that's just the way he is. It's like, I don't care, bro. It's a debate. When you're there to debate someone, for example, debates should be respectful. Always. You should always respect your opponent no matter what. You can shit talk on your videos, and whatnot. That's a totally different thing. But when you're there to debate someone, which is something I agree with to a certain extent with Mike Hollow, that, debates should always be respectful. Because you have to understand and listen to both of your points. But the problem is that these people have their head so far up their ass is that they think that they're never wrong. And then they'll bullshit you with word manipulation by telling you, no, it's just how I think, it's just how I believe, or I believe this, or I think that. Da, 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 da. You get my point. It's all bullshit at the end of the day. Now, Sikander, he's just a clown. I'm sure he does all this for entertainment, but he probably won't admit it, because that's all that matters to people nowadays. Most people only care about drama and the views and clicks that they get. If these people were honest, if they cared about integrity, if they were, proper, as they say, they would call their friends out on their bad, shitty behavior, whether they're there or not, because eventually they're going to see the video. Or you can, you know what? You can go and DM them the video link. Uh, and ultimately, I blame the fan base because NRS, WB, the only pros like Sonic Sucks, people like Foxy Grandpa, or as I like to call him, Foxy Grandma, Mike Hollow, and all of them. The only reason they behave this certain way is because the fan base allows it. A company can't screw you over unless you allow it. Society doesn't become shit unless you allow it. Uh, these only pro people wouldn't be acting like this unless they allowed it. Like look at Sonic Sucks, Sonic Ducks, Captain Poopy Pants. He literally called anyone who doesn't have his skill level dog water. And there was a whole bunch of people in his comment section making excuses for him because he's a good player. No, respect your fan base. You're as delusional as NetherRealms and WB. You people forget that the only reason you're famous, the only reason you get money, and you have all this money, the only reason you have all this fame, all this power, is because the people that you're trying to disrespect, aka your fans, are the ones supplying you with the fame, are the ones supplying you with the money. Because if you don't make a good game, guess what? You make no money. You'll make a little bit, but you won't make a lot. And if you make a lot, you fool the fans the first time. Then it goes to fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. And then you end up losing. And then you fall back to the same stupid tactics that I'm complaining about. You disrespect your fans. You call them names. It's their fault that you didn't make money, even though your game was shit, or you had a shitty behavior against them. That goes for only pros. That goes for companies. That goes for anything. Always respect your fans. The one thing you never want to do is disrespect the very people that support you. Unless they disrespect you first. Because, respect is earned. You know what I mean? You give respect, I'll give you respect back. I'll respect you until you disrespect me. Once you disrespect me, don't expect me to respect you. I won't take you seriously. And I won't be so kind. In other words, to make the long video short, respect your fans. Respect the people that you debate. And people will respect you more. The issues why companies and people and top tier YouTubers and pro league players disrespect their fans is because their fans allow it. They cuddle it. They enable it. And no one says a damn. But it's okay for you to do it to everybody else. It's okay for you to disrespect people. It's okay for them to disrespect people because, they're your favorite pro league player, or they're your favorite company, or they're your favorite game designers, they're your favorite YouTubers. No, you got to call the bullshit where the bullshit is. That's why society is the way it is nowadays. We treat people who have original opinions or thoughts monsters, but yet the people who go around disrespecting people because they can, because they're companies, or because they're rich, or because they have power, or because they have status, or they're famous, and etc. We allow them to do whatever the hell they want because we'll excuse it no matter what, which is something that we should never do. And that's basically it. I mean, if I had more to say, I would, but I don't remember everything, which is probably a good reason to basically have a note on the things you want to talk about, but I don't like doing that. Maybe I will start doing it, maybe not. I don't know, I'm a little lazy. And I just like doing it like this. Because like I said, I make mistakes. Everybody else makes mistakes. See, the difference is when I make a mistake, you'll see it. When other people make mistakes, you don't see it. You know why? Because they're constantly hiding behind this false facade, and they'll use manipulation tactics with words or with their status or with their, you know, fame or etc. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. Uh, Thank you for watching. If you disagree or agree, you can comment. Just make sure to be respectful, because if not, I'm going to treat you the same way. Uh, you know, we're grown ass adults. We should be able to talk to each other. We should learn to listen to understand rather than listening to reply, because then we'll always be divided. We'll always be at each other's throats, and nothing will ever get anywhere. And yeah, till next time. Thanks for watching.